Hello, guys. Welcome back to another election prediction. This time we're going to be doing the 2022 Senate map for the month of May. And so far, I would say that let's get right into the safe states. So, Oregon, California, it's usually always the safe Democratic ones. Maryland, Larry Hogan's is still not going to run as of right now. He's probably looking to actually make a presidential bid, which is pretty interesting overall. I don't think he has a shot because the Republican primary has gotten to the point where only someone far right could win the nomination, no moderates. So with Iowa, it's Chuck Grassley. He's leading the polls by over 15 points. It's not. It might even win by over 20. Honestly, I don't think he has a chance in hell of losing that race. In Alaska, Lisa Murkowski. She's currently. It's going to be two Republicans at the end because it's ranked choice voting. Murkowski's probably going to get a win there narrowly, probably by a likely Republican margin. However, no matter what, there's going to be a Republican in that seat, so it's safe Republican. But I think she'll probably end up winning by 8 points against the other one. So let's get right into this map. So Missouri, I mean, if the scandal-ridden nominee for Missouri Republicans, Eric Greitens, wins the nomination, this race can be under 10% competitive. And I kind of expect him to win the nomination because I don't think Republican primary voters care that he's that scandal ridden. In the state of Colorado, it's another likely Democratic state. I think Bennett's probably going to easily beat the Republican opponent by a probably 7 to 9 point margin, I would estimate, maybe even safe, but putting is likely for now. Washington, the polling is indicated it's a single digits race. The Democrat only has a 9 point lead, so I'm assuming it's going to be under 10 points, which is pretty interesting for the state of Washington. It's solidly Democratic in the 2020 election. So we got a few more states here. Let's head to the Rust Belt. So Ohio, I don't think Tim Ryan has a shot in hell here. I don't think he'd get it to lean Republican. So overall, I think it might even have a chance of going over 10%, honestly. But I'm going to say it's a 9 point victory for the Republican candidate here. I'm assuming it's going to be J.D. Vance, honestly. It's looking like he's going to win. Let's head to the state of Florida, and that's Marco Rubio's seat. You're not unseating Rubio in a Republican midterm. He might even win by a safe margin, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be a 7 to 8 point victory for Rubio, as the polling has been indicating. So let's head to the state of Wisconsin, and currently Ron Johnson has extremely low approval ratings in this state. However, he might be saved again just because it's a Republican wave here. He might get saved just barely, barely tilt margin, just because, whenever in 2016 he was facing a hard race against Russ Feingold, and he got very lucky that Trump had a surprise win, and this Trump carried him to victory here in the state. So I think voters are going to keep Ron Johnson again, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than many people are anticipating in the state of Wisconsin. He just has truly awful approval ratings in this state. Can't stress that enough. So the state of New Hampshire, it's been tightening. It used to be like polling used to show it a 5 to 6 point lead. Now it's like 2 to 3 point lead in polling in New Hampshire. So I always kept it as lean Democratic, and I'm kind of happy I did. I was expecting a bit more of a competitive race here, but I still don't think Republicans flip it. They just don't have that good candidate quality up here. Just don't. They have shitty candidates in the primary. No one good is running in New Hampshire for Republicans. So let's go to the next few states. So Nevada, at this point, it really looks like Catherine Cortez Masto is probably going to lose. She just doesn't have a lot of name recognition in this state. That's really hurting her. She never really moved out in the national stage at all and made a name for herself. And that might be the reason that voters just aren't that enthusiastic to vote for her. And honestly, I don't think she would perform that well in this state. In Arizona, however, it's a different story. I think the Democratic incumbent's probably a bit more stronger than Catherine Cortez Masto in the state of Nevada. So I expect Arizona to be a much closer race than expected, maybe even closer than Nevada, honestly. And that's what it currently is shaping out to look like. The state of North Carolina, it's hard to say. I'm in between of putting it to likely or lean. It's really hard to tell. I'm going to say it barely goes lean, 4% victory for the Republican candidate here, just because Democrats really never win North Carolina. They always miss it by a narrow, narrow margin. let's head to the state of Pennsylvania. And currently, I think John Fetterman pretty much has the nomination locked up at this point. And I think he's the best candidate Democrats have in this state. And that's why I actually think he would probably flip this state. He'd be one of the candidates to actually flip a seat for the Democrats, which is honestly pretty hard in Republican midterm. And then we have the state of Georgia. And Herschel Walker is a very controversial candidate for the state of Georgia. That's why I think that even the polling showing Warnock might actually have a chance in the Senate race. Recent polling showed he was up 5 points, and it was actually a pretty reputable pollster for the state of Georgia. And Herschel Walker has a lot of skeletons in his closet. He has a whole bunch of them, and honestly, at the end of the day, Herschel Walker may be defeated by Raphael Warnock, but it's really hard to tell. So far, it looks like the generic ballots favoring Republicans. So it's be the most narrow race is going to be in the Georgia Senate race in my mind. But I would have to give it to him as of right now based on the current environment, even though Warnock really does have a really good chance. For now, it'll probably be Republicans narrowly flipping the seat, just barely. But that's how I see it, Senate prediction so far. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.